Hello, and welcome to Enlightened Empaths, your community for the spiritually awakened, where we discuss, explore, and connect with fellow empaths, healers, intuitives, and seekers. Hello, empaths. Welcome to our show on chakras. Denise, you and I had talked about doing a show on this a couple of months ago, and we were like, I don't know. And then we got so many emails from people saying, no, please tell us about the chakras, right?
We did. And I think that we've done shows in the past on the 7 main chakras. We always integrate it into any classes that we teach. We talk to folks about it. We do our own chakra work. But today we're going to talk about a real quick overview of the main chakras, but then some that people might not be quite as aware of.
Yeah, which I think is really exciting because there's so much going on in our energetic bodies we need to be made aware of.
Right. And the more we can get to know ourselves and how we're wired and where we might feel a block or a twinge or in our energetic work field, I think it's going to help us navigate the world more easily. But also, the more we know ourselves, the more we can be open for other people as well.
Exactly. And sometimes our intuition or our subconscious, the only avenue they have to talk to us is through our body.
Exactly.
So, as we all know, the word chakra is from a Sanskrit word that means wheel or circle. And so they're energy centers in our body that look like spinning wheels, and they run up the base of our spine. But I always like to picture them like spinning wheels in the colors of the rainbow, starting at your spine and moving along your back to the top of your head. They act like bodyguards. They allow certain energy in and they keep negative energy out. But if we allow holes in our aura, like from lack of sleep or too much anger or drinking too much or just really any excessive behavior, then we disempower these bodyguards. But if we have a strong aura, our chakras can keep us really healthy, happy, and tuned in to our intuition. So our chakras are like filters, constantly taking in, filtering, and emitting energy. So picture 2 ice cream cones with the points or the tips of the cone facing each other. This is what our chakras look like if we stare at the side of someone. So if you're staring at the side of someone, picture at the base of their spine, there's like a cone going out their back and a cone going in front of them. Am I explaining that?
Yeah, that's a really good visual. Yes.
Okay. The wider end of the cone faces out to the front of your body, pulling in energy, whereas the wide end of the cone pointing out of your back is emitting energy. And this is something that I think is really interesting to think about. Our chakras develop as we age. So it starts with the root chakra, which is located at the base of your spine, actually where your perineum is, and it develops in the first 7 years of life. So this means that if you experience trauma in these years, you'll have to work even harder on cleansing, balancing, and strengthening your root chakra, and this will affect the other 6 major chakras as they develop. Think about a tree growing. If the roots are struggling in the soil, the tree will have a hard time growing and blossoming. But just as our energy is flexible and changing, so are our chakras. So we can do the work to help heal them so that our life runs smoothly.
And that makes perfect sense because when you think about 0 to 7, you're dependent. Your survival depends on someone else taking care of you, especially in those really early years. So that aligns beautifully with that security and stability that's often connected with the root chakra.
Yeah, it does make sense. And then 8 to 15 is the sacral chakra. So think about that's where we are coming into terms with our body, our creativity, our passions, our sexuality, how we view our body, and think about all the changes we go through between those years.
Right. And abstract thought, autonomy, learning who we are as an individual separate from our family unit. See, this aligns beautifully, doesn't it?
It really does. And then 15 to 22 is the solar plexus, which is the seat of confidence, will, determination. It's where we get our clairsentience, our gut feelings, learn to trust what our body's trying to tell us. And think about you're in high school and maybe college or getting your first job in those years, and you're really learning who you are and where your determination and focus is.
You really start to come into your own as an individual.
Yeah. 22 to 28 is when the heart chakra develops, which makes sense. That's usually when we tend to fall in love or have our first heartbreak or get married or start a family if you choose to. So that makes sense there as well.
It's also divinely orchestrated, isn't it?
It really is. All right, I have a question for you though.
Okay.
So then 29 to 35 is the throat chakra, which makes sense. That's communication. It's where you learn to speak your truth. This is normally when we start to make strides in our career because we learn how to speak up for ourselves. It's also when we start to set boundaries and all that good stuff. 36 to 42, around those ages, is the third eye. That's when you learn to really trust your intuition and get in touch with who you are in terms of your beliefs. And then 43 to 49, around those ages, is the crown chakra development. Denise, what happens after 50?
It just keeps growing. It keeps
Do we
getting
go?
more and more. They strengthen, you become more aware of it. And I was thinking about when you said the 29 to 35, you finished up your Saturn return. So you're going from Act 1 into Act 2. So that makes perfect sense as well. And it is about finding your voice, so
Yeah.
that it aligns with that throat chakra. And how many people have we seen in their late 30s, early 40s who all of a sudden say, I'm an intuitive person. What do I do with this? I've always felt this way. Why now am I feeling? I've always said that these are a really transformational decade of you start to come into your own. So many people in that age group, that's when they decide to change their career or end a relationship that might not be healthy, or possibly start a family later because they've decided I'm ready for it now. Hugely transformational time.
I agree. But I mean, at 50, do you go back to the root chakra?
I think these are hitting the reset button. And I've said this on so many episodes that I had heard years ago that women who reinvented themselves in their 50s were the ones who didn't age out. There really is something to an intrinsic wisdom that comes with age. And I'm not saying that in an egoic way because I'm old. I'm just saying that you start to realize the things that were so vitally important at those different stages aren't as big an indicator in how you want to live your life.
Mm.
Or
Yeah, I agree.
influence might be better than indicator. But I think it allows you to integrate all of the aspects of the chakras as you get older in a way that you weren't able to before.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, should we say anything else about those main chakras, or do you want to jump into the minor chakras?
I think we should jump into the others because so many have a strong foundation, and there's ridiculous amounts of information how to cleanse them, how to spin them, how to take care of them. But I think these other ones are ones that are going to help you take it to the next level.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to talk about the hand chakras?
One of the things that people don't realize is that we have chakras in our hands, and they're the centers for multiple chakras. The primary chakras of the hands are located in the palm, and others are at each joint, which makes the hands really useful channels for energy healing. So the palm chakras are the focal point of the hand meridians. But just like the other chakras, the centers of energy location in your hands are what allow you to interact with the world on an energetic level. They allow healing energy to flow both in and out, and are associated with the act of giving and receiving. So when you think about people that do Reiki and it comes through their hands, or gentle touch or healing touch, or massage therapists who have had such a strong connection with people. And I shared this before, when I used to do readings with people in person, I would hold their hands at the end and the mediumship would come through so strong. It was that energetic connection through the chakras in our hands, I believe. I didn't realize that at the time. But some signs that your hand chakras may be blocked could be if you're having a lack of creativity or having a hard time expressing yourself artistically, maybe feeling closed off or numb, or having a lack of connection with the world and other people. And have you ever had it where your hands just feel stiff, and you'll not because of the weather or because you've overworked them or something, but there's almost a need to stretch your fingers out?
Sure, especially after a day of typing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying that can also be an example of a blocked hand chakra.
Right. And
That makes sense.
when I was thinking about this and reading about it, I was thinking about people I know that have writer's block or they're artistic and they haven't been able to get back in the zone, or they're struggling to express themselves creatively. Doesn't that make perfect sense that their hands would be blocked? And there's some really simple ways to open your hand chakras is simply holding your hands in water. And you can use a natural body of water like a stream or a lake or the ocean, but you can also put your hands just in a bowl of water. And as you let your hands rest, imagine the water just washing away any blockages you might have and replacing them with bright flowing energy. So that imagination and that water, that healing, that cleansing, which we've talked about this a lot of times when standing in the shower and letting everything wash out of your auric field, I guess you're doing the same thing.
I guess so. I think it's the intention, though. You
Yes.
apply the intention of cleansing it and releasing anything stuck or stagnant. I think that really helps to shift it.
When you've taught Reiki in the past, because there's so many of our listeners are Reiki practitioners or are interested in Reiki, it was always, you hold your hands together and you can gently rub them together and imagine a glow forming in the palm of your hands. And then you bring your hands a few inches apart. You can imagine that glowing ball of energy emanating in your palms, but you can feel the energy. You can feel the warmth or the tingling. Teach something with the hand chakras when you
Yes.
taught Reiki?
Yes. Yeah. We would teach that, and we would teach aura. There's a really great aura exercise where you have your partner visualize an event that made them feel incredibly happy, like one of their happiest days. And you
Yeah.
have the other partner, like rub their hands together and try to feel the boundary, that pushback of their aura. And it's usually like when they're picturing their happiest day, that bounce back of their auric energy field is like 1 to 2 feet. It's big. And then we have them picture their sad day, like a very sad, awful day. And you can feel the energy shrink until you can feel the bounce back when your hands are around their aura, about 6 inches around their head and shoulders. It's amazing. It's a good exercise to do. And the other saying in Reiki is hands on, Reiki on. So the minute you have your hands on someone, whether you're holding their hand or just rubbing their back, Reiki is flowing through you. And another thing we do to show them the importance of your hand and the energy that's coming out of your hands is we'll have, like, you lay a volunteer down on the massage table, and then all the students will go around the volunteer, and we'll put our hands on different Reiki position points for like 5 minutes. And then I'll say, okay, on the count of three, I want you guys to all just gently remove your hands from our volunteer. And the volunteer feels it's like a shock to the system almost when the hands pull off. And so
Yeah.
that's to demonstrate how important it is when you're doing Reiki on someone, you never take your hands off of them. So if you're doing the T square position, for example, at the base of their spine, and then you're moving to the sacral chakra position, you always keep one hand where it was and then move the other so that you're not removing your hands, both of them at the same time.
So I know that there are two mindsets around, well, probably many more, but some people believe, yes, exactly what you just said, that you always have contact with one hand. And some people say, don't touch people when you do Reiki, but you hold your hands above. So do you find a difference between the two?
No, I think it's up to what people feel is right. I know Echo Bodine, I think she puts white handkerchiefs down and then puts her hands above the handkerchiefs but doesn't touch.
Yeah.
I believe that's how she does it. So it's really how you were trained. I was always trained if you've got someone there in person and they're comfortable, I mean, they're fully clothed,
Right.
and you put your hands on them and they are okay with that. I think it's a nice way to have that human to human connection. But I think it works either way. I mean, we can send Reiki energy distantly without them being in the same country. So, of course,
Right.
you don't need your hands on them. But I would like to do that exercise now that I'm talking and thinking out loud. I bet if we had our hands in the Reiki positions over the volunteer on the massage table, if we had our hands in the Reiki positions about 6 inches above their body, and on the count of three, we all pulled back, I bet they'd still feel it.
100%. I have no
Yeah.
doubt about that. And because I've had the experience of being the person on the table and having that happen. And it's a funny feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So no, I don't think it matters. I think it's up to you and what you've. I know for me, like whenever I'm nervous, I always want someone to hold my hand. And I'm not like a touchy-feely person.
Mm-hmm.
But even like before like certain surgeries and like everyone has to leave the room, I'll still say to the nurse, "Will you just hold my hand
Oh,
until I go?"
that's
There's
sweet.
something so special about that hand-to-hand communication and contact.
Right. And the really cool thing about this is it's something you can do, like opening your hand chakras, rubbing them together, getting that energy, and you can play around with it until you can feel. So you might say, "Oh, I don't feel anything." But the more you might need to rub your palms a little bit more, but you'll feel a resistance. And that's a great way to know that you're generating that energy. And you could do Reiki on yourself at that point.
Oh yes, for sure. And you know what else I like to do? I like to use salt scrubs on my hands.
Oh, that makes sense.
Especially if I feel like, do you ever feel like you have ick on your hands?
Yes.
You know, like if you've been around someone who kind of has negative energy and maybe you shook their hand or something and like soap and water just ain't gonna do for the negative energy you've just been slimed with. I like to use a salt scrub. That really works. I also love to just put my hands in dirt.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, if I'm stressed out or I feel blocked, I'll just go into my little garden and pull weeds.
Yeah, and that's also you're getting the added benefit of grounding at
Yeah,
the same time. But being creative is a great way to use your hands to get that energy moving again as well. Creating any hands-on methods, sculpting, clay, but even kneading bread. Like if you're going to make bread from scratch and kneading it, or I think that that's really important.
I do too. So you can also get two single terminated crystal points and put one in your left hand pointing into your body and put one in your right hand pointing away from your body and just lay down and breathe the energy from those crystals into the left side of your body and see it swirling through your chakras, cleaning and brushing away any negative debris and see that ushering out your right hand through that other crystal.
Right. There's some wonderful exercises in. We had Anna Dea Judith on the show a long, long time ago. In her book, Charge in the Energy Body, she has some activities you can do, some little mini activities to open up your hand chakras and stuff. So if you're interested, that might be a good resource.
Oh, that's great. I love her. She's like the queen of chakras.
Yes, she is.
Denise and I just want to pop in and tell you guys about some exciting events and classes we have coming up in the new year. On January 8th, I'm teaching my manifesting class to help kickstart your new year goals. With this live class that's taught in person over Zoom, you get my manifesting goals ebook. You get a meditation to help you align your subconscious with your goals. You get a chance to ask me questions about manifesting blocks and learn how to really set your 2025 in the best possible energy. Also, the 4 Wednesdays in February, I'm teaching my Be Your Own Psychic class, where you really learn how to embrace, awaken, and strengthen your intuition. You'll get some partner work, you'll get some individual exercises, and some fantastic feedback. And also in February, on the 2 Saturdays in February, we're going to be doing our class on mediumship with Denise and myself. That's Saturday, February 8th and February 22nd. I'm so excited to teach this again with you.
Oh, it's fun. We always have a good time when we do this one, and it's a beautiful stepping off point. If you think, am I a medium? Am I not a medium? It's a really nice place to explore that.
Yeah, I think so too. You learn really how to embrace your mediumship in a very safe and supportive environment. And because we're doing it on Saturdays, there's a little bit of extra time where we're hoping to do some in-class partner exercises. But like our other classes, you'll have some out-of-class partner exercises as well. Oh, and I also, in January on the 25th, if anyone's in the Northeast, I'm going to be in Virginia. I'm going to be presenting Saturday night at Edgar Casey ARE on manifesting.
Oh, perfect. And I just want to put a shameless plug in for you. If anyone is looking for a wonderful gift for someone around the holidays, Samantha's book, The Awake Dreamer and Heavenly Alliance are incredible and would make a beautiful gift. So they can
Oh,
find those through your website.
yes, they're signed and they come with fun stickers and a bookmark with a poem I wrote on the back of it. And I love they all come gift wrap. I get so excited every time someone orders a signed book. So thank you, Denise. You're so
Oh, you're
sweet.
welcome. You're welcome. And the past 3 years, I've offered a really intensive mentoring program for a small group of people. I've been studying and doing this work for a while now, and I've taken so many classes and trainings that it's my way to share what I've learned. But even more importantly, it's about helping each person find how they best connect with spirit. In the past, it's been a 6-month program, and each month, every person gets a one-on-one coaching session with me for their own personal growth and development. There are 2 monthly group meetings, and the first part of the meeting is direct instruction, where I share practices or techniques to help you develop your own connection more fully. The second half is more of a shared, it's practice, it's building community. Also, if there's an interest, we've explored business components. There's a monthly class that we have as a group. Everything's recorded and uploaded. So if you're not able to be there in person, my favorite, though, is that this is a real way to build community. We have shared practice sessions with previous mentor groups worked into the schedule as well. So if you're interested in that and would like more information, please send me an email with Mentor Program 2025 in the subject line, and I'll send you back some information. It is a small group. It's limited to 20 people, so you really get to know the folks, but it's really it's fun.
Let's get back to the show.
Perfect. All right. Now, how about feet? Let's look at feet for a minute. Those foot chakras.
Yeah. How many chakras do we have in our feet?
Well, I don't know how many, but I know that it's all along the soles of your feet. And when you think about how good we feel when we walk barefoot on and reflexology, and you walk barefoot on sand and you're hitting all those pressure points, but it helps with grounding, it helps to stabilize, and it helps us to feel supportive. And from what I've read, foot chakras work in tandem with the root chakra. So
that makes a lot of sense.
It really does. And when they're balanced, they can help us feel like we're in divine alignment with the natural rhythms of life. It can help us have a sense of confidence that we're being supported and that we can trust that we're going to be okay. It can also be a feeling of being more aligned with our purpose in life and how we can take conscious steps towards fulfilling that. So maybe that's one thing to think about if you're feeling a little adrift on what direction to take or where to go is, do you need to walk barefoot? Would it help to get a foot massage? Would it help to soak your feet? Just some things to think about. But when the foot chakras are overactive, you might feel resistance to change or be unwilling to move from a current situation that needs to change, or feel fearful about the flow of life. And if they're underactive, it can lead to feelings of being ungrounded, unsure of one's place, disconnected from purpose, or out of touch with the natural cycles of life. So, which can lead to fatigue and a lack of vitality.
I remember when I was like overdue. I was like 2 weeks overdue with Chloe, and a friend of mine, I think she just felt bad for me because I was just waddling around everywhere. And she got me a massage with a reflexology. And the guy was like, no, I cannot do reflexology on you. It'll trigger labor. And I was like, please trigger labor. But he would not do it. And I did not know that was a thing. Like, that's how powerful the energy is at the bottom of our feet.
Right. Haven't you ever known people that are really sensitive about anyone touching their feet? They don't want anyone to touch their feet, or they're highly ticklish, or you have to wonder if the chakras need a little work.
Yeah, that's true. I have a friend who's never had a pedicure because of that.
Yeah.
So our feet chakra are connected to the root chakra. They must also be connected to the earth chakra.
Right. They're kind of that conduit in between, similar to how the crown chakra works as a between heaven and earth liaison.
Interesting.
The really fun part is I love things that we can just do on our own. We don't need a class. We don't need to buy any equipment. You can rub your feet. You can walk barefoot outside if it's warm enough where you are. But it's going to help you tune into the world around you and beneath you. So if you're looking for clarity and you open up to those natural rhythms of life, it feels like it would bring you strength and support from the earth energy. How many times have we done meditations or guided meditations where we pull that energy up through our feet and light up all our chakras? So It's about stability and safety and connection. And you can even do affirmations of, I'm deeply connected with the earth, or I honor earthly rhythms. I'm open to vital life energy. But, the easy things.
Interesting. We had a listener who emailed us, and she does make her living with feet stuff on that website. What's that website that you subscribe to? And it's
Oh, OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Oh, my.
So you know how fascinated I am by stuff like I'm like, okay, I gotta know, like what. And she was like, no, 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 it's just like pictures and da-da. But she said that the nerve, something with the nerve endings in our feet are in our brain right next to our nerve sensory stuff for sexuality.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know. And I wonder if, because you're saying it's connected to the root chakra, and the root and sacral chakra are connected to sexuality.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
If you think about, we use our feet, if we're lucky enough to use our feet and be mobile and move around on our own without needing assistance, you can do that. You can dance, you can take a walk in nature, you can practice earthing practices, you can do a standing meditation where exactly what we just said, you hold your awareness on your feet and visualize that earth energy entering in through your soles and empowering you and bringing you up that strength of earth. You can also, I've done this countless times. I've shared that I'll put my hands on a tree and get a message. But when I'm doing that, I'll feel the energy of the tree flush through my body and dissipate any negativity into the earth. And it'll just go like whoosh and out through the bottom of my feet into the earth.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Uh,
I love when there's a yoga thing that we do sometimes where you almost turn your body into a pendulum, and
mm-hmm.
it's to help you find your center. And it's amazing when you do this because you don't even realize that maybe you're leaning a little forward, or you're leaning back on your heels, or you're favoring one hip over the other. But you just stand in mountain pose on your feet, and you just kind of move to the left, move to the right, move front, move back until you find your center. It's a really good grounding exercise, but it also helps you to feel connected to what your center line is.
Yeah, so, some other yoga poses that to even consider would be tree pose or goddess pose or that standing forward fold. All of
Yeah,
those are said to also connect, help your foot chakras and that connection with earth energy.
I love it. All right, should we talk about some of the higher chakras?
I think we should.
Okay. So there's the soul star chakra, which is located above the crown chakra. It's about a foot above our head. Sometimes it's called the eighth chakra, and it's referred to as the stellar pathway. It's also called the seat of the soul. It helps us transcend time and space. Many healers believe
Ooh,
that when we access this soul star chakra, it allows us to connect with our parallel lives. It holds our soul plan, and some say that this center stores all our soul plans. I've read that if you dream about or recall glimpses of a past life, that's a sign that the soul star has been activated. Have you read that too?
I have. And that insights on past lives and different dimensions and astral travel is all available if we can activate that soul star chakra.
I would love to go to the Monroe Institute and really learn their gateway meditation program, which is said to help you activate this soul star chakra. You can listen to a lot of their meditations on YouTube. You can buy their meditations, but I'm very hands-on. I'd like to be in the classroom.
If this chakra's out of balance, you might be in a state where you're having a hard time manifesting things and feeling connected to the greater universe.
Yeah, yeah, because this is where it's where our higher self rests.
Right.
So if your crown chakra at the top of your head represents the highest aspect of the you in this lifetime, the soul star chakra represents the highest aspects of all the versions you've lived in all your lifetimes. And it's also said this is the chakra where we connect with our guides and access our Akashic records.
Well, remember when we've talked about Alberto Villoldo said that there was a chakra right above your crown where you uploaded everything when you are ready to transition from your physical body.
Yes.
That's saying the same exact thing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to add that when you awaken this chakra, it helps you remember who you really are and why you're here. And it's said to be connected to the color turquoise. And a scent that's really good to work with is angelica root.
Oh,
Yeah, I've never worked with that scent, so I got to check it out.
would there be a crystal?
There are so many crystals connected to this one that I was confused, but it's all of the higher ones. Dambarite is a good one, ahoite, and phenacite.
Would there be a more common one
Yeah,
that
would there be an easier one to find where I wouldn't have to dip into my K? Probably clear calcite or a dambarite's not that expensive. The others are for sure.
Very cool. The God's Head chakra is the 12th chakra, and it's about a foot above your head, about 12 inches above the crown chakra. And this one is believed to be similar to a halo. And when it's activated, this chakra helps stimulate higher consciousness and the feelings of that God energy flowing from within. And you can replace God with source, with spirit, with whatever vernacular fits for you. But when it's out of balance, it's that stimulating that higher consciousness and the feelings of that God energy. But when it's out of balance, this energy can manifest as feeling powerless or out of sync with your life, which I think makes perfect sense because when we are feeling disconnected from source, we do feel powerless. We do feel like our life is off track.
Yeah, I agree. And it helps you recall your talents that you learned in past lives, which is pretty cool.
Right. What's another one?
The galactic chakra, which is located above the God chakra, it's accessed through the hands and the feet. It helps us learn mind over matter, and it's referred to as the channel for prophecy. It gives you the ability to connect with higher beings, and many shamans believe this is where we can use our mind to manifest, and some say this is where we learn astral travel and astral projection.
Ooh.
I know.
Going back to the shamanic reference, because I love that stuff. Isn't it interesting? Those higher chakras would all equate to higher dimensions, the upper world, going up. You're expanding out into the universe, whereas the foot chakra and the lower ones are going down into the earth. So we're making that beautiful connection of winding it all together.
As above, so below.
Oh, yeah. The pineal chakra is right behind the eyes in the center of the brain. And we've all heard about the pineal gland, and it's considered sacred and often called the seat of consciousness. But when this chakra activates the energy of the pineal gland, it helps stimulate spiritual awareness and feelings of divinity. So this can help you access hidden realms, communicate with spirits, feel more in touch with your inner self. It often is activated when people all of a sudden come to an understanding of seeing themselves as a light worker, that they came here to work with light, to be of service with light. And when it's out of balance, the chakra can get a little cloudy with having a hard time thinking for yourself, constant feelings of fear about the state of the world, or even being closed off to intuitive messages.
Okay, I got to talk about the Bindu chakra because it's something I'm fascinated by, and I'm having a hard time finding a lot of information on it, but there is some stuff out there. It's often called the fountain of youth chakra because it produces the nectar of immortality. It's located towards the back of your head where your hair parts and swirls, so kind of like the fontanelle when you were a baby, like right there, or the cowlick of your hair at the back of your head. The word bindu means point or dot. Now, this chakra is underdeveloped in most people, so it appears as a small point of light. Its color is silver. It aids physical, spiritual, and mental health and is said to be the point where these three aspects of our being merge. It's sometimes called the lunar chakra because just as the moon brings light to a dark night, this chakra is said to bring light to our earthly journey, illuminating each step brighter and brighter as we learn to tap into our spiritual side. It's also said that concentrating on this chakra can help you overcome anxiety And when it's not stimulated, it appears to healers and clairvoyants who can see chakras as a dot. But when it's opened, it's said to drip energy, releasing healing sensations that contribute to our vitality and health. But as we mentioned, for most of us, this chakra lies dormant, and there's a good reason for this. Listen to this quote I found from a website called 7chakras.com. It says, the Bindu chakra is the source of a mitra or nectar. This nectar, although continually released by the chakra, gets burned out once it seeps into the solar plexus chakra. So just picture, if you can, like, I don't know, honey dripping from the top of your head into your third eye chakra, into your throat chakra, into your heart chakra. By the time it drips into your solar plexus chakra, which is governed by the sun, it burns it off. So the quote continues, the solar plexus chakra, governed by the sun, negates the energy coming down from the moon chakra. Consequently, the nectar is destroyed before you can feel its benefits, aka you need to learn how to activate the Bindu chakra and use the nectar before it reaches the solar plexus. Thankfully, there is another chakra that can help. It is the throat chakra. If you can find a way to keep the nectar within the throat chakra, it doesn't dissipate further, and you could obtain its full benefits. And Denise, there are some crazy cool stories about some yogis who have learned how to do this. Have you ever read stories of yogis who live on, I don't know, air and light, and they don't need food?
I have. And the logical part of my brain always has to tip my head like, I don't know about this, but they can document it.
I know. It's just mind-blowing. And it said that those people who can do that, it's because they've learned how to keep this nectar from dropping into their solar plexus chakra, so it feeds all their needs. Now, you can do this supposedly by applying slight pressure with your fingers to this center. It helps to soothe anxious energy. So it might not open the chakra like, some of these years long trained yogis have learned to do. But if you're just feeling anxious, supposedly you can just rub that area at the back of your head and it will calm you down. Many yogis recommend this, saying this phrase as you do it. Lead us from unreality to reality. Lead us from darkness into light. Lead us from death into immortality.
Oh,
So you can also help awaken the chakra by using a technique called the Kachari Mudra, which is described in the Hatha Yoga Padripika. You just roll your tongue as far back as possible until the tip of the tongue reaches deeply into your cavity of the top of your throat. Breathe through the throat, like that yogi breath, until it produces a soft sound is also a helpful technique. Using this technique with the tongue position is said to block the nectar from flowing into our solar plexus chakra. Yoga inversions, such as the half shoulder stand, is also recommended to strengthen this chakra. And you can also practice alternate nostril breathing.
wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
I know. Isn't it fascinating, though?
It is. And we all have it. We just have to decide if we want to keep that lovely nectar in our throat rather than letting it burn up in our bellies.
It's uncomfortable to keep your tongue there. I do that a lot when I meditate, and I can't hold it there for long.
Right. So right below that is the cerebellum chakra. And I had a note from someone recently, and she's very, very intuitive, very good medium. And she said, I know that I have a good connection when I get a tingly, like a sharp, tingly feeling right at the base of where my neck and my head meet. And that's where your cerebellum chakra is. And it's known as the well of dreams. And it's said to help you access the hidden realms again, but creative ideas and your soul contract. So when this energy is strong, it manifests as feeling in touch and inspired by your dreams and even prophetic dreaming. It can also help you see things for what they are without allowing judgments of the mind interfere. So those of us that will get a hit, get an intuitive blast, get something, and then we double guess it, you might want to focus on that chakra and see if it's clear. When it's out of balance, this can manifest as clouded judgment or always seeing the negative side of things and an inability to tap into and trust your intuitive voice.
Okay, you know what's interesting though is this stuff has been written about for thousands of years.
Right.
It goes back to the Sanskrit text. So it's very, very, very old knowledge and information. On my other podcast, we had a listener email us about her doubts of the chakras. She's like, I can't see them. I can't feel them. How do I know they're there? I completely get that. Don't you?
Yes.
We have these 7 centers that are in charge of this, and now we're telling you you've got all these other chakras. It's a lot to take in. But when I was doing research for the Awake Dreamer on dreams, I did not know scientists only started studying the brain and how and why we dream in the late 1960s.
Yes.
And we found out that there's a part of the brain, like I'm a scientist. Let me rephrase that pronoun. The scientist discovered that there is an area of our brain in the cerebellum that stores dreams.
Right.
So I'm just saying for people who are listening to this going, yeah, I don't know, this is all bunk, it's just interesting that it does all line up.
If people are of a certain vintage, they can remember when there was a lot of upset about people practicing yoga, even when it first became really popular in the 60s and 70s, that people were not all embracing it as a positive thing because it was
It's
different.
still in the catechism of the Catholic Church that you are not allowed to practice yoga.
Oh, come on.
I am not lying.
Wow.
Yeah. They say it's akin to worshiping, another gods.
Okay.
And it's funny, like if you go to a yoga studio, there is a lot of different deities on the altar and you do, but at my gym where I do yoga, a lot of the teachers don't even do the namaste at the end because people don't want to hear that. And I find that upsetting because all namaste means is the light in me recognizes the light in you, basically.
Right. And it's honoring the tradition and the whole truth of what yoga is. It's not just I look good in these pants and I drink green juice.
No, it's mind, body, spirit alignment.
Right.
But yeah, people, that's not vintage. That's current, Denise.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
At least in the catechism, which is upsetting.
Well, let's just jump to that higher heart chakra then.
It's sometimes called the thymus chakra. It's located between the heart chakra and the throat chakra, and it helps you get in touch with universal love. You can activate this chakra through meditation, yoga, and it helps to send a message that you're ready to be a universal light worker. Its color is pink, and the chakra is open in people who really understand and embrace unconditional love.
It's also great for really seeing and feeling the gratitude and beauty in everyday things. And if you find yourself maybe feeling a little narrow-minded or having a hard time accepting different points of view, you might want to put some concentration on that thymus chakra because it's going to connect you more with your heart energy, your words with your heart energy, so you can communicate more empathetically and compassionately as well.
Yeah, and something that's important to keep in mind, the heart chakra is the bridge chakra because it bridges your physical chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, with your spiritual chakras, the throat, third eye, and crown chakra. And so if the heart chakra is blocked, ain't nothing going through. And I feel like the same is true of the higher heart chakra with these higher chakras we're talking about.
Yes. Because there's the thymus, but then there's also the sacred heart chakra, right? Which is just below the heart chakra and to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
And that one is more, works with the energy of the heart center, whereas the thymus is the higher heart, and it's that bridge, as you said, between your throat and your heart. But the sacred heart works with the energy of the center to expand consciousness and feelings of the unconditional love. Do you think those two work together?
Yes, the sacred heart chakra is more focused on self-love and can you love yourself unconditionally? And the higher heart chakra is more on universal love and loving the world around you unconditionally.
One of the things they talk about with that is that if you're experiencing a lack of empathy or feeling really confused about certain things, that might be a place to focus your energies as well. The core star chakra is located above the sacral or the second chakra, right near your diaphragm. And this is the study of the soul or the pursuit of esoteric knowledge, that gut feeling place, but it's just above your sacral or second chakra. When it's balanced, it helps us understand our role in the world, our soul purpose. When it's out of balance, though, it can cause feelings of disconnect. To balance it, that's when we start really studying spiritual wisdom. Metaphysics can help, meditation exercises that really focus on your breathing.
Yeah, those deep breathing techniques is really good. I bet our core star chakra is shining brightly. Because you and I love to study ancient wisdom.
Yes, we do. And comparative religions. And I fell down the rabbit hole the other day reading about the different ancient practices of mediumship and how different cultures would. There's one culture that the mediums are covered from head to toe so that they're like with cloth to bring through the messages. And I was wondering, does it put them in a trance state to get to that because of the darkness? But that's a story for another day, I guess.
Oh, that would be another good show. We did a show on psychic teachers, royalist and famous people who consulted mediums throughout the ages. And I don't know how that research sent me into this rabbit hole, but it was on all these ancient Christian documents, like some of our OG Bibles before what was it called? The council, when Constantine changed everything.
Okay. Yeah.
There were all these books that had mediums in the church. It was like a spiritualist church. And some of them are coming back into print, but they've been hidden for thousands of years. And I never knew that. Did you know that?
I didn't know, but
There's the documents of Origen. I mean, he's one of the founding fathers of the Christian church. And there's like letters he wrote about like, this is a good medium, she should speak in church and give witness to the continuity of life and all of this. It was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. And I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Earth Star Chakra, which is about 11 inches under your feet. And it's the energy that helps you connect to Mother Earth. So that's why if you're ever saging to clear your aura, always make sure you lift up your feet and you sage under your feet as well, because you want to clear that up. But when this is in balance, it's when you can feel really connected to the planet, connected to your earthly journey. When it's out of balance, it could manifest that feeling of wanting to go home, and I'm putting home in quotation marks, being out of touch with the planet, being out of touch with cycles of nature and the environment. So again, going back to the grounding exercises and spending time in nature, a great way to help align that Earth Star energy center.
Yeah, and I've read it helps you get in touch with your ancestral line as well.
Right, which makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Absolutely fascinating. I think we've just touched the tip of the iceberg, but I think we've given some good information about some of the lesser known chakras.
Earlier in the episode, you mentioned how they tend to increase your connectivity, how your body will work. Pay attention if you're having a physical pain or a blockage or something. And if it aligns with one of these chakras, do some work on that to clear it out and see if that helps. Or it may be a great stepping off point to expanding your connection with spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Because our chakras can be exaggerated, meaning there's too much energy in one over the others, or they can be shrunken down, meaning we're not giving them enough time and attention. And so really starting to look at that can help. Because there's so much more to all of these centers. That's why it's so important to really study about them and really be aware of what your body is trying to tell you. Like we always consider the third eye chakra, oh, that's the seat of clairvoyance and intuition and psychic ability, and it's so groovy, and I want an open third eye. Well, if you're like a type A controlling person, that's actually connected to the third eye chakra too. And it can mean you have an overgrown, exaggerated third eye chakra, and that leads to headaches. So when you get a lot of headaches, it just means your body is asking you to give up control over something you're trying to be in charge of that maybe isn't even yours to control.
But it also makes it that being clairvoyant is better in some way than being clairaudient or clairsentient or claircognizant. And they're all equally important, and it just depends on how you're wired.
Exactly.
Well, this was fun.
This was fun. Before we go, we wanted to let you guys know that Denise and I are going to be teaching our mediumship classes again in the new year, and we're really excited. We're doing it a little bit different this time. We're going to be doing it on Saturdays instead of during the week. So hopefully, people who work or have different time zones will be able to meet up for this class since we're trying it on Saturdays. Do you want to tell people about what they can expect?
It's going to be 2 Saturday afternoons Eastern Standard Time. We'll still cover all the information we've covered in the past. This is a basic introduction class to how to find your way to connect. We do practice exercises, we do partner exercises, but we walk you through how to recognize that mediumship ability in yourself. It's a very safe environment to practice and learn, and the groups that we pull together, I love. It just touches my heart that years later, these groups are still together and have made dear friendships with one another.
It's the best part of doing the class. And this way, with the longer sessions on Saturdays, we'll have time for some in-class partner work, for out-of-class partner work. So I think it's going to be really exciting. So you can find all information about that on our websites, SamanthaFay.com and TheGratefulMessenger.com.
And those will be, I believe, the February 8th and 22nd are the dates, the 2nd and the 4th Saturdays of the month. Okay.
Yes. Oh, and if I could remind everyone too, in January, I'm teaching my manifesting webinar just to kind of help everyone kick off their new year and learn how to create a vision board or a goal book, but really how to recognize any blocks you may be subconsciously experiencing to manifesting your goals and dreams. That's going to be Wednesday, January 8th. And then the 4 Wednesday nights in February, I'm teaching my Be Your Own Psychic class, which is very similar to the mediumship class where you're partnered up with someone from class to work on exercises, but we focus on psychic ability rather than, there's a little bit of mediumship at the end, but it's more on really understanding and embracing your psychic abilities.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a great week filled with sparkly, clean, and balanced chakras. Remember, as always, to show up, do great work, and share your light.
Take care.